Okay, so today we're going to be talking about circumference and area for a circle. Circumference of a circle is the distance around the outside. It's the same thing as the perimeter of a polygon. Circumference is the distance around the outside. And then area is the space inside. Both of these formulas, circumference and distance formula, we have to know R. Can anybody tell me what R represents? Radius. The radius is the distance from the center to the edge of the circle. If I go from edge to edge through the center, that is the diameter. That's what D stands for. And the radius is equal to half of the diameter. Radius is equal to half of the diameter. For some of the problems on the homework is due tomorrow. It's very short. There's 5 questions total. For some of the problems on the homework, you will be given the diameter. So you need to take the diameter, cut it in half, and that will give you the radius to use in the circumference formula and to use in the area formula. If they don't give you the diameter and they don't give you the radius, then we have to have another way of finding the radius so that we can find the circumference and the area. In that case, we will use the distance formula to calculate the radius. And the distance formula, if you remember, we have a big long square root, x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. If we have ordered pairs and they don't tell us the size of the radius, then you have to use the distance formula. All right. Let's try a couple examples. We're going to look down at number 1, part A. You good? Okay. We want to find the circumference and the area of this figure. So the first thing we need to find is the radius. From the center to the edge of the circle, this right here is our radius. So the radius of the circle is equal to the length of segment CD. To find the length of segment CD, this is where our distance formula comes in. So I need to pick one of my points to be point 1, the other one to be point 2. Are you guys okay if we call our center point C x1, y1? And then we would call point D our x2, y2. If you flip it around the other way, you're going to get the same final answer. So let's start substituting in. Need my big long square root. X2 is 6. minus x1, which is 4. So I have 6 minus 4, close my parentheses and square it. And then y2 is 3 minus y1, which is 8. Close my parentheses and square it. We're going to simplify each of those parentheses first. We're not going to square anything yet. What is 6 minus 4? 2. So I have 2 squared plus, what is 3 minus 8? Negative 5. Negative 5 squared. Now we're going to take this right here, including that square root symbol, and we're going to put this in the calculator. If you need to borrow a calculator from me, I still have several up here, but I want you to grab the calculators. Remember, we start with the square root first. You push the second and the x squared key. And then parentheses 2, close your parentheses and square it. Plus, and then parentheses, negative 5. Close the parentheses and square it. The parentheses around the 2 and the negative 5 are really important. Without the parentheses, you will get the wrong answer. Let's round this out to 3 decimal places. What do we get? Remember, if it doesn't give you a decimal answer after you hit enter, you have to hit this key right above the enter key so that it'll give you the decimal answer. What did we get? Yep. 5.38. When we round it out to 3 decimal places, it'd be 5.385. Remember, when we round to 3 decimal places, you look at the 4th number over after the decimal point, and if that's a 5 or bigger, the one in front of it goes up. If it's a 4 or smaller, we just leave it. So this right here is my radius. Now that we know the radius, we can find the circumference and the area. To find the circumference, we do 2 pi times the radius. So 2 pi times 5.385. You have a pi button on your calculator, and we need to use the pi button as we calculate this. So to put it into the calculator, you push the 2 first, and then the pi button is right here. Pi, and then parentheses, 5.385. Close your parentheses and hit enter. What do we get? 33.834 something, right? So we're going to round it up to 835. 33.835. And then we still need our area. To find the area, we do pi r squared. So pi times my radius of 5.385. And then we take that radius and square it. Don't forget the squaring on the parentheses. What do we get for our area? It starts with a 1 after that, right? 1, 0, 0, and then like a 6 or a 7. So 101. Yep. 91.101. If you write down 91.100, I would still accept that for full credit. All right. Nicely done. Let's try another one like this. So once again, we are given a circle. We've been given the center of the circle right here and a point that is on the edge of the circle right over here. My radius is the distance from the center to that point on the edge. So the radius is equal to the length of segment CD. And the way we find the length of segment CD is by using our distance formula. We have to pick one of these points to be x1, y1, and the other point to be x2, y2. Are you guys okay if we call the center our x1, y1? Sounds good. So 0 is x1, -6 is y1. That means point C up here, -3, 1, that's my x2, y2. So then we substitute in big long square root here. X2 is -3. So I have -3 minus my x1 of 0. Close my parentheses and square it. Plus y2, which is 1, minus y1, which is -6. Close my parentheses and square it. And then each one of these parentheses gets simplified separately. We're not squaring anything yet. What is -3 minus 0? -3. So I have -3 squared plus, and now here I run into, I am minusing a negative number. So what happens to those two? They become positive. Both of them become pluses. So I have 1 plus 6, which gives me 7. And now we're going to take this and we're going to pop it into our calculator. Don't forget the square root over the top. It will absolutely change your answer. What did we say? Yep, 7.616. There's our radius. And now we can use that to find circumference and area. Circumference is 2 pi times my radius. So I do 2 pi times 7.616. And that gives us what? 47 point. Yep. 853. 47.853 for our circumference. And then we have area that we still need to find. Area is pi times my radius squared. So pi times 7.616, and don't forget to square that. What do we get? Yes, 182.223. Beautiful work. flip it over to 15, the very last page in your notes packet. So to recap, to find the area of a circle, we do pi times the radius squared. To find the circumference, we do 2 pi times our radius. To find the radius, we will use the distance formula. So distance is equal to big old square root x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. All right, let's do another one together. We have our 2 points marked. The radius is the distance in between the center and a point on the edge. But I don't have ordered pairs. I need to use the grid to find my ordered pairs here. What would be this point? Close. So we do left and right first. So starting at the origin, do I go left or right? Left, how far? 3 to the right or to the left? Only 2 to the left, so -2. And then we count our down. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, I'm doing the center first. -2, -3. Let's go ahead and call that our x1, y1. And then this point over here, we go 1, 2, 3 points to the left, so -3. And then 2 up. So there's my x2, y2. So to find the radius, we need our distance formula. We're going to substitute in x2 is -3, so -3 minus my x1, which is -2. Close my parentheses and square it. Plus y2, which is 2, minus y1, which is -3. Close the parentheses and square it. We are subtracting negatives all over the place here. In my first parentheses, I have a negative and a negative. So those turn to pluses. What is -3 plus 2? -1. So my first set of parentheses is -1 and then squared. Plus, I get to my next set of parentheses over here. I have a negative and a negative, so that turns into plus. 2 plus 3 gives me 5. Take it and square it. So what is our radius? What is our radius? Yes, 5.099 for our radius. And now that we have our radius, we can find circumference. And area. Circumference is 2 pi r. So I do 2 pi times 5.099 And that gives me a circumference of what? .037. When you round it to 3 decimal places, it rounds it up to 0.38. But if you write 0.37, I'm still giving full points. All right, and then we still need area. Area is pi times my radius squared. So pi times 5.099. Don't forget to square that. So what is our area then? Yep, 81.681 is our area. All right. I would like you guys to try the very last problem with our last couple minutes. Try the last one. I'll put the answer up on the screen here in just a moment. Try the last problem.
Oh. Okay.
Yes.
Understand.
Oh, you couldn't find the pi button?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're having trouble locating the pi button on the calculator, it is 3 buttons below the green second key. Here's our second key. Pi button is right here. So please go ahead and try the very last problem. I'll put the answer up in just a moment. No, it does not matter which one is x1, y1. All right. As you work on the problem, I've gone ahead and put the answers up so that you can check your answers against mine. Homework is due tomorrow. Those 5 questions are due tomorrow. And tomorrow is also your last skills check of the module. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow.